Tzu Chi in Turkey holds its first aid distribution at the new Menahal school campus. Two mentally challenged students in Taiwan found confidence and new life meaning through dancing. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri. Thank you for joining us. In Turkey, Tzu Chi volunteers used to hold their aid distributions at the Tzu Chi office in Sulawesi City. However, ever since the Menahal School's new campus building opened, volunteers now host a distribution there. The building has more space and can fit in all the refugee families.
Menahal High School and Elementary School's new campus building is opened. Now the refugee children can attend classes here. Tzu Chi volunteers can also host the monthly distribution here.
这里面包含了几个项目，特困户。
There are funding for families with severe problems, students with part-time jobs, gas reimbursement, and regular poor families. Every month we take care of more than 6,000 student families.
It's the first time the volunteers host distribution here since the new building's opened. Unlike the small space in the old office, now they don't need to separate it to many different times to give out the funds to all the refugee families. The owner who rents the building to Tzu Chi supervised the construction himself in order for the children to have a safe place to study.
Every human being has compassion. Tzu Chi comes from afar to help us here. I've witnessed everything you have done. What I did is nothing compared to your efforts.
He said he didn't want any money. I'm going to negotiate with the construction companies for you, so that they won't take any money as well. We want to make this place a charitable place so that everyone who's willing to show compassion can come here to give their love.
Many Syrian refugees join to be a volunteer each time during Tzu Chi's distribution. Adel Alamar has participated in the first distribution since 2014 and has never missed one till now.
Since I met Tzu Chi 3 years ago, my life has become meaningful. I saw the care and respect Tzu Chi shows to the refugees. I am very thankful for that kind of love. Not only I feel it, every Syrian here can feel it too.
Atrial fibrillation is an irregular heart rate that can lead to heart-related complications. As treatment, Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital has introduced the technique of cryoballoon ablation. With this technique, patients have a chance to stop all the medications.
Don't underestimate this balloon. It's the main element of cryoballoon ablation, which can treat atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation is caused by irregular electrical current in the pulmonary vein. This new technique applied the frozen theory, put the balloon in between the pulmonary vein and the atrium to interrupt the irregular current flow.
The temperature keeps dropping to -20 to 30. This pulmonary vein got irregular electrical signal in it. If we froze it here, we can end it in about 2 to 3 minutes. Then when the patient returned to his body temperature, we'll pull out the balloon slowly.
In the past, the electrical burning techniques burn the tissues, but often make the patients very uncomfortable. Comparing to the 4-hour surgery process of the old technique, the cryoballoon ablation technique will only take 1 or 2 hours, and they can treat almost 90% of patients.
Our goal is that the patient don't need to take medication after the surgery. That's the best way to improve their life quality. Because when the irregular heartbeats take place, it's very uncomfortable to feel your heart trembling. Some people, if serious, will experience heart failure. With this new technique, we can change the situation.
Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital is the first hospital to provide this technique in eastern Taiwan. Doctors hope that this improvement can bring more convenient medical cares for local residents in Hualien and Taidong.
A man found his esophagus contained a benign tumor that was suppressing other organs. Due to the fact that the tumor is located in a spot that's hard to remove, the doctor used Japanese techniques for the surgery.
From the CT scan, we can see that there is a tumor about 8 centimeters at the top of the patient's esophagus, and it is suppressing the esophagus and the trachea.
Although there's a great chance that it's only a benign tumor, but I still suggest him to undergo the surgery because this area, around the mediastinal cavity, has many important organs. These blood vessels and trachea, if being suppressed, might increase the difficulty for his surgery later on, or cause some other health issues.
The patient's tumor is located at a dead-end spot on top of the esophagus, making the surgery difficult. If applying the regular mediastinoscopy to enter from the right side, the space is limited and is blocked by the trachea and bones.
We open a small hole from the lower neck, and then we will apply the single-port surgical technique to add carbon dioxide into it. We'll follow this trachea and push aside the blood vessels. After the space is cleared out, we can operate the surgery in it. We can see each organ clearly this way.
Esophagus smooth muscle tumor is the most common benign tumor in esophagus. The occurrence rate is about 0.124%. When the tumor continues growing, it will suppress the nearby organs. If you found that there is something strange after your health exams or experiencing difficulty in swallowing or chest pain, the doctor suggests going to the hospital for a further check.
Tima Northern Taiwan chapter holds a regular free clinic in Jingmen every half a year. Besides offering on-location services, they also provide house calls for seniors who have mobility problems. At Tima's most recent visit in this area, they found that most of the elderly are cared for by foreign caregivers or other seniors.
Members of Tima Northern Taiwan chapter traveled a long distance to hold a free clinic every half year. It has become a responsibility toward the elderly in Leayu Township.
We already provide regular services, so the residents have expectations. Every time when we see them coming and their illnesses get taken care of or they feel relieved, it makes us very happy.
The TCM doctor once served in the military in Kinmen, therefore he has strong connections with this land. Seeing the old grandfather's leg deteriorated and can hardly walk, he takes the time to give careful treatments.
After my wife passed away, I feel life is impermanent. We should really grasp every opportunity to give as much as we can.
This grandma with dementia murmurs all day long. Normally, the foreign caregivers or her husband, who is hard of hearing, take care of her.
Usually, some elderly only have foreign caregiver taking care of them. It's hard for them to go to the main island or central Jinmen to see doctors. The grandma who came for acupuncture saw me and recognizes me cheerfully. She said after the acupuncture yesterday, she feels her pain has been relieved.
Doctors and nurses feel deep connections to the elders. During the house calls, they carefully remind the family of ways to take care of the elderly.
Why does Taiwan need a Land Planning Act? Many believe that existing laws are unable to control the development of a wide range of structures. Scholars suggest that we should continue to come up with legislation to coordinate building development, as well as create a licensing division for landscape architects.
At the 8th legislative session, we passed the National Land Planning Act. At the highest level, this includes each region's resource allocation, including aesthetics, as well as which areas should be protected. Under the law, there is also district plans and for 4 urban areas.
The problem is that there's no legal basis for the Urban Planning Review Committee. Urban design is often dominated by local space. There's actually a lack of overall thinking when it comes to the landscape of large areas. That's why our skyline and city landscape has gradually spun out of control.
This law didn't pass because many people had doubts about the results, and many developers and relevant technicians strongly opposed the plan.
The promotion of the Land Planning Act goes back to 2002 when Premier Yoshi Kun launched a program to generate more tourists, hoping to reestablish the city landscape as a key attraction for tourists. However, for more than a decade later, experts in various fields such as civil engineering, architecture, and landscape still could not reach a consensus, which impeded promotion of the law.
这一片呢，整个绿地如果都是它，你觉得好吗？
我觉得不太好。
为什么？
因为就是人的活动会干扰到就是动物啊栖息的那个环境。
These miniature trees are moved to a different location. Each detail must be carefully scrutinized according to this model. This group of consultants differ because they are landscape architects. Does Taiwan need their expertise? This issue was hotly debated before passing the Land Planning Act.
A landscape architect is a bit like a conductor of an orchestra, as he coordinates the immediate and surrounding environment to ensure overall quality.
This person is flexible and not like a civil engineer who rigidly calculates the safety data for you. But landscape must consider ecology because landscape is a dynamic factor.
Landscape is not only tied to construction but also includes aesthetics and human feeling for a living environment, as well as a dynamic ecological environment. Through the most advanced 3D software, you can fully grasp many elements of the construction and the surrounding landscape, including the type and height of plants as well as shadows and sunlight.
If I have this balcony, then I can show what type of shadows or sunlight is impacted. If we want more sun inside, we can use more shades to block the sunlight.
Pan Iru has a specialty in urban planning and landscape design. She emphasizes wind, climate, geology, and even hydrology, which are all included in her landscape profession. However, Taiwan has long ignored this profession.
Europe and the United States have already surpassed us profoundly, and now they are talking about the ecology of cities and consensus of the people, and we aren't having these discussions.
In fact, there are no landscape architect licenses issued by Taiwan's government. Only a private landscape architecture group organizes certification exams.
Developed countries have such a program. China is a little later than us and is studying from our examination system. Japan has it along with Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia, as well as most of European countries.
Landscape in contact with the earth has now become the supreme guiding principle, but in Taiwan, we make it the least important.
Whether it's landscape architects, or civil engineers, each profession needs to take a step back to work together and cooperate to allow Taiwan's landscape to be properly managed during this period of extreme climate change.
There are two mentally challenged students at Rixing Industrial and Commercial Vocational School who are talented in dancing. Before they started dancing, they had little confidence, but now they've both found a spotlight on the dance floor.
Putting on this dance outfit and these dancing shoes are two well-matched dancers ready to put on a great show. Among the people who participate in this municipal dance competition, Xing'an and Yingyu are the brightest stars on the dance floor. What makes them special aside from their dance talent is that they are both physically challenged. 18 years old Huang Xing'an is mentally challenged, and the 17 years old Guan Yingyu has Down syndrome. Although they are born with these challenges, this can't stop them from winning dance competitions.
可以。
I can show them how good I am.
I found that I can dance just like regular people.
The person that pushes these disabled students to dance is Zhong Peijun. He has returned home 5 years ago to begin teaching dance at the school he graduated from. But what awaits him is a group of disadvantaged students.
I need to teach them about 50 times to turn and to clap, but I've gradually learned from them that they dance each time happily, while it's impossible for normal students to do the same thing 50 times.
Zhong Peijun believes that these children have the right to learn dancing just like anyone else, and he will continue to teach dancing in remote villages as long as he sees students smile when they dance.
In Yuchi Township, Nantou, a Taoist temple has started a ceremony, and the local residents are invited to go meatless for 5 days. Since the famous tourist area Samun Lake is in Yuchi Township, local eateries and hotels are cooperating with the ceremony to provide vegetarian food. For 5 consecutive days, the restaurants are providing vegetarian food as the tourists flock in.
I heard there is a Taoist ceremony. I think it is a good tradition to be kept.
I heard it is held every 15 years. It is hard to come by. Today is the first day. I can accept this. In fact, I kind of like it.
On the streets, several restaurants that sell meat dishes are closed temporarily. The ones who provide vegetarian food have good business.
I think it is hard to come by. It is held once in more than 10 years. Therefore, they joined us in eating vegetarian food. They follow the tradition and they are happy to do so.
As the Taoist ceremony is held in Yuchi Township of Nantou, the local residents are invited to go meatless for 5 days. The eateries, as well as the famous hotels, have also cooperated with the ceremony.
沙拉部分就是采用日月潭鱼池这一边的一些小农场的生菜沙拉。
The hotel is providing delicate vegetarian food with a special menu. Although they are notified to go meatless, the customers still follow the tradition.
The feedback from the customers is that they can seize the opportunity and enjoy some light meals. In fact, most of them give us positive feedback.
If one goes to the Sun Moon Lake in the near future, do not forget to follow the tradition and go meatless while praying for peace and prosperity. Tzu Chi's New Zealand chapter provided Menahal to South Auckland Police for an annual training course in humanitarianism and the benefits of a vegetarian diet. Here's more.
Many police cars are parked in front of this Menahal as the Tzu Chi New Zealand chapter has lent its use as a venue for an annual training session for Auckland police officers. This traditional Maori song is lifting spirits of the people in the room. Tzu Chi volunteers are sharing tea with police officers, helping close the distance between both groups.
It was awesome. Get to meet people and the ones that haven't met before, so it was a good icebreaker.
Serving a vegetarian lunch helps bring up the opportunity to introduce 111 Ethical Eating Day. Lin Senjie, a Shaolin Ba Duan Jin instructor from Taiwan, demonstrates this special form of martial arts along with his disciples.
40 police officers took these lessons home and incorporated into their work. Tzu Chi's spirit has been passed along to them through this long-term cooperation. Tzu Chi represents tolerance and compassion.
How you got up and sung us a song today, with the actions and the sign language, it was very, very overwhelming. So I really enjoyed the day.
Tzu Chi's support for local police has brought the two groups together and paves the way for closer aid and mutual support in the future.
When U.S. Tzu Chi volunteers hold free clinics or distributions, most of the time the people they serve are from Spanish-speaking countries and do not speak English. Therefore, Tzu Chi volunteers rely on translation. Recently, a Mexican-American volunteer has shown his willingness to teach volunteers Spanish.
In Los Angeles, about 1/5 of the population speaks Spanish. When Tzu Chi volunteers head into communities to conduct the Happy Campus program, distributes fresh foods or hold free clinics, they have relatively more opportunities to serve Spanish speakers.
Now that I became a member of Tzu Chi, I realized how many Hispanics there are, and a lot of them don't speak English. And we need to somehow the basic, have the basics so we can communicate with them, so we can make everything run smooth, even for us as for them, to make it easier for everybody.
Mexican-American Salvador Acevedo expresses his willingness to teach Spanish.
¿Cómo se llama?
The basic pronunciation, along with the frequently used vocabulary, everyone in this first class is highly interested in learning.
He teaches in a lively way, which allows elderly people to remember the contents easily.
With this Spanish class, Tzu Chi volunteers can better serve the needs of others in the future.
Tzu Shaos in Los Angeles, California, went to a local toy factory to help the manufacturers assemble toys in order to fundraise for Tzu Chi's international disaster relief. In the meantime, there are other Tzu Shaos preparing for the next DaAi mobile food pantry.
It's just like a factory assembling line. These are Tzu Chi's in Los Angeles helping the local manufacturer assemble toys. For each box they assembled, the factory owner will donate $10 to Tzu Chi to help with International Disaster Relief Fund.
Today, the officers prepared an activity for the volunteers where we fixed fidget spinners, and for each box we fixed, we get $10. So the money goes towards our organization to so we can use the money to help other people. And today when we were fixing the fidget spinners, we learned how to work together.
This is the third year my daughter joined Tzu Chi. I'm very happy that I've brought her here. Seeing her growing up in Tzu Chi's atmosphere, I feel very comforted. She was very shy when she first joined Tzu Chi. Now when she visits the nursing home, she can even host the event.
All the activities require teamwork. The other teams of Tzu Chi help to pack the aid supplies for distribution. Their parents are on the other side learning to make vegetarian cuisines. Under the instruction of the culinary teacher, they use materials like vegetables, tofu, and seaweeds to make Japanese sushi and share with Tzu Chi. All the parents enjoy the healthy culinary class and are willing to try vegetarian diet for their daily meals.
In Jiayi County's Yizhu, Mr. Huang was a local resident who suffered from cancer. As he was unable to repair the damaged roof and beams of his house, he had wanted to give his parents a comfortable home. After learning about his situation, Tzu Chi volunteers pitched in to help his family repair the house.
Roofs of the house were broken and the beams were also damaged. This is where Mr. Huang and his parents lived. Huang was unable to work because he suffered from cancer. Both of his parents also have illnesses. He wanted to repair his house, but no one could lend a hand, and he had no money. There is a custom in the village. Once a family member has passed away, the house cannot be repaired in a year. To fulfill Huang's wish of carrying out his filial duty to his parents, Tzu Chi volunteers along with some kind-hearted people step in to help.
In total, there are 3 window screens. There's also one in the bathroom. This man is very kind. Seeing that Tzu Chi volunteers are helping people, he said he also wanted to help this family.
Besides creating a home as a shelter for the Huang family, Tzu Chi volunteers also wrote Jinzi aphorisms on the wall to enrich their souls. After the completion of the new house, Mr. Huang seems to relieve his heavy burden as he passed away with no regrets.
In China, volunteers at Tzu Chi Suzhou grounds have been caring for immigrant workers' children, cultivating their moral character. Recently, they led the children to sweep fallen leaves on campus, teaching them to protect the environment. We'll leave you with these images at the end of our program. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.